On today's episode, we are going to take a closer look at AMD, more importantly, their upcoming MI300. To kind of explain a little bit of what's going on here, we have Billy joining us. Good afternoon, Billy. How's it going?
Good afternoon, Jose. It's going well.
So, Billy, tomorrow we will have a pretty cool AMD event, and one of the chips that I think is most sought out for, talked about right now, is the MI300. So, I know you're going to explain to us what's happening here, so I'll just send it your way.
Okay, yeah, great. So the MI300, and this chip has been talked about fairly extensively, although not in all of its details. This is going to be AMD's basically their artificial intelligence accelerator chipset, and it's a monster, and it's looking to challenge Nvidia's dominance in accelerated computing. So AMD has both GPUs and CPUs. Right now, though, in the data center, it's mostly their EPIC CPUs, which have been used in combination with Nvidia. Their GPUs have been mostly used in graphics, but since they have those chops, AMD is now looking to catch up to Nvidia with a combined AI chipset that can use both capabilities. And tomorrow, June 13th, AMD will hold its data center and AI technology premiere, which will, quote unquote, showcase the company's growth strategy and expanding product portfolio and capabilities for data center and AI. So with AI being all the rage, and justifiably so, there's a lot of anticipation for this. Some people think we will get more detailed specs of the MI300. It's called the Instinct MI300 AI chipset. I like that name. Some details of it are currently known. There was an article in Tom's Hardware that went through everything they basically could figure out about the chip, from a presentation on the El Capitan supercomputer at the Department of Energy, which will use the MI300. So that's interesting that the MI300 already has this large win in this Department of Energy supercomputer. And what they can tell is that it will feature 13 chiplets with many 3D stacked on top of each other. We've been talking about chiplets for a while now as a trend. We've gotten excited about some of the advanced packaging plays there, which help make that happen. And this chipset, which will contain a mix of 24-core Zen 4 CPUs, along with the CDNA 3 graphics engine. So it'll be a mix of the CPUs and graphics engines, next to 8 high-bandwidth memory stacks. And those chips will be on top of 4 active interposer dies. And those interposers basically direct the traffic among the CPUs and the GPUs and the memory. And the processors will be stacked on top of those in a 3D structure. So this chip looks like an absolute monster. It has 146 billion transistors. Now, for comparison, the Nvidia H100 has 80 billion transistors. Now, that's just the GPU. So obviously, when you combine Nvidia's H100 with, say, its Grace CPUs that it's coming out with this summer, that system will have more transistors than just that, but we don't know how much that entire chipset has in terms of transistors. However, AMD does have an opportunity because DigiTimes recently reported that AI customers are really hoping that there is an alternative to NVIDIA in AI accelerators, because NVIDIA is really dominating the space and it can charge ridiculously high prices per chip. Obviously, customers would love to have some competition there with AMD to perhaps get a lower price for these very expensive AI chips. According to DigiTimes, NVIDIA currently holds between 60 and 70% of the accelerator market, and over 20%, the remaining bit is basically the custom chips made by the cloud companies We talked about Amazon's Inferentia Trainium custom chips and Google Tensor processing units. Those are all custom made for those particular clouds. So obviously, data center operators who want their own, who go to the third party GPUs would really love an alternative, since Nvidia pretty much owns the market now. And was looking at, there's a recent conference where AMD's VP of servers said the MI300 should ramp in the fourth quarter. So hopefully we get more details tomorrow. In any case, I think it's an important event that interested investors should definitely tune into. AMD is a strong second place player in graphics, and well, now it's actually the leader, or it has gained a lot of market share in CPUs against Intel, obviously. Intel will probably have some sort of competitor out to the MI300, but I believe that is not until next year, as they're still behind. And the specs are also questionable. That will also use a lot of chiplet technology. So very interesting for those who love to look at specs of the latest chip. Tune into the presentation tomorrow and for all the commentary afterwards, as it could have an effect on these high-flying stocks.
Discover the world of semiconductors without getting lost in the technical jargon. My new membership offers a perfect balance for investors looking to understand this exciting market. Using my electrical engineering knowledge and experience, I will release weekly exclusive videos ranging from quick 5-minute 101s to in-depth analysis, covering not just popular chip stocks, but aiming to explore every public semiconductor. Plus, join a private community of like-minded investors. Finally, I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
Yeah, definitely, Billy. I mean, I'm very excited for the presentation, and we'll probably most likely going to cover it here on another episode in this channel. A few things that I find interesting, Billy, is we have the MI300 is going to be very similar to the Grace Hopper, where it's going to be like a CPU and a GPU put together. But one thing that an AMD mentions is the Grace Hopper, they're pretty much two different chiplets connected together using NVIDIA's Unveiling. Where AMD is saying that this is pretty much a single package, that they really have that complete unified memory. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how that kind of progresses and kind of the results from there. So that's going to be interesting. The second thing I'm really curious, Billy, is I've read reports about it. I haven't really. I don't think AMD has kind of confirmed it, but there's going to be like different flavors of the MI300. The MI, and hopefully they explain a little bit about it tomorrow. Where I do believe there's going to be a certain flavor where it's just going to be GPU only. So it's just going to be the MI300, just like a Hopper, right? Then there's going to be the flavor where it's going to be the MI300 with kind of the CPU as well, where it's going to be that CPU and GPU unit. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of in betweens there. So I'm going to be that's one thing I'm also going to be very interested to see. How the company kind of showcases those different flavors of the MI300. Outside of that, I think, like you mentioned, like DigiTimes mentioned, AI customers are really looking for an alternative right now, especially with NVIDIA's probably upcharging a lot of their cards, but also maybe the lead time on those cards themselves are probably also pretty long, that they're looking for some alternatives. So Billy, before, I think it's a great way to kind of end this segment. I know we're going to cover it later on. Any final thoughts on your end before we kind of close out the topic?
Yeah, that was an interesting part you mentioned about the different flavors of the MI300, and I think that's enabled because it's built on a chiplet architecture where you can mix and match the chiplets in different ways, and not have to worry about manufacturing the whole chip. You manufacture these parts and you stick them together like Legos, whereas I believe NVIDIA's chips are still, all in one, not based on chiplets. So it'll be interesting how that compares and how that might be able to make inroads against NVIDIA's lead and the moat around their CUDA software platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think that's another thing they are going to discuss a little bit more in the presentations, more of their software solutions, because at the moment, that's one of the things that's really, in my opinion, holding them back from grabbing a nice amount of market share. Is obviously Nvidia has done amazing with that CUDA infrastructure solution, where for AMD, they did mention that they created their own AI team. They're really focused on the software side. Unfortunately, that's all they've shared. I think during this event, they're going to talk a little bit more about their software solutions as well.
Yeah.
So Billy, I think that's a great way to end this segment. I appreciate you. I know the viewers appreciate you too. So see you next time.